Well, hello everyone, welcome back again for another chat about thoroughbred racing. Look, I was just looking for some articles I remembered coming from Practical Punting many years ago when I used to buy the magazine on a monthly basis. And so I subscribed to their channel. Well, not a channel, is it? To their website. Didn't cost any money. And as a result of doing that, to get access to those articles, I now get emails from them offering me access to racing systems that if I sort of stump up a bit of money, they will provide me with profitable approaches to the challenge of finding winners to horse races. And so today I'm just going to just quickly go through the three systems that they have alerted me to, namely Hitzone, Maverick and Ramrod, and I will provide you with a spreadsheet which you can get from Google Sheets, and the link will be in the video description, and that spreadsheet will be covering how you can do the calculations to get these Ramrod selections. So let's just begin with Hitzone. This was the sort of stuff that came in my emails. Hitzone, 62.29% profit in the last 7 weeks. Now, 7 weeks is not a long time in the greater scheme of things. And basically the system talks about avoiding the challenge of having to go through all of the various form factors. There are so many of them. They're just going to go and target on a few. And they're claiming this is because the approach uses only a handful of factors, ones that have been tried, tested and proven over many years and many thousands of races. There's some aspects of this that will sort of match up with what I'm doing with the wagon wheel. So Hitzone assesses recent form by an allotment of points. Now in the case of the wagon, of course, we just add them up. We've got no idea how the Hitzone does these points. They claim that recent form is the most reliable guide to any horse. I would dispute that. As I've mentioned a few times, thoroughbred form is so inconsistent. Trying to find a reliable guide is not that easy. A win is 99% of the time a better guide than a second, and so on. Again, I would somewhat dispute that, because often when a horse has a win, it either goes up in class or it has to carry more weight next start, whereas a horse that's run second or third is not going to get a weight penalty. It's probably going to be running in the same class. So whatever. It's certainly worthy of having a discussion, I guess, about the merits of form. The approach also then looks at how well fancied a horse is in the pre-race betting market, exactly the same as what I'm doing in the wagon wheel. This is important because the markets over time are a good indicator of what's going to happen. In a majority of races, those runners listed on the first 4 lines of betting will provide the winner of the race, and that's a fact, and that is absolutely indisputable. In the case of the wagon, of course, I'm using the first 6 lines of betting and not betting on any horses outside of that particular bracket. So they're being a little bit more targeted here. I'm only looking at the first 4 lines of betting. And then once they've assessed each contending runner's last 2 starts, so only 2, whereas in the wagon we're doing 3, they then move on to the betting, and then they've earmarked the first 4 lines. They then determine which of them they can get a bonus award due to being trained on the track where the horse is starting. Now, trying to find that information is not easy. Well, at least I don't think it is. I had spent a bit of time last night, so I'm recording this on Tuesday morning. And yeah, I couldn't find an easy way to access that sort of information, so can't duplicate that, I'm afraid. And they're claiming this is most important. There's often a winning edge for horses racing at home, and that's why after the study of thousands of races we decided on the bonus advantage points. So that's it. You only bet on the best races, so I'm pretty sure they're only talking about betting on Saturdays. You concentrate on proven runners well positioned in the betting market, and you give a bonus to horses trained at the track where they're running. As a result of applying their rules, they've got a strike rate of just over 40% and a profit percentage of 30%. So that's pretty impressive. So if you're betting $50 a bet, then $1,700 profit. you want to get access to this, all you got to do is hit Practical Punting Hitzone, and up will come this somewhere or other on your web browser. So $150 for a year's access. If you want to get them emailed to you, another $75. So $225 if you're interested in that. I'm not going to do it. I'll just bring it to your attention just as a sort of entertainment, I guess, or point of information. I'm concerned about the fact they've only got a short period of data, and there's no evidence that this actually will work over the very, very long term. Mind you, the same thing does apply to the wagon wheel. We're just doing some research on this one at the moment. Second one, Maverick. Outsider's approach makes 132% profit. One simple but vital form factor, and that's that the jockey and trainer must have a winning combination. As soon as we put 2 and 2 together, we can see its power to not only come up with a fancied runner, but it will also often spot a horse at a solid value price, those elusive outsiders. And so that particular approach, 41 selections across a period of about 6 months, so it's quite targeted. Average bets per Saturday 1.4 per day, so you're going to have to be pretty patient. Percentage profit 133%. That's pretty impressive. But when you're betting on outsiders, you know, if you take perhaps the very best results out, you might be left with a return that's way less than this. They do apply it to what they call their action bets. A lot more bets, 3.6 per day on a Saturday, profit at 17%. And again, if you want to get access to that, exactly the same price, and I won't be doing that either. And the last one, though, that I am interested in, because I can program this one up onto a spreadsheet for you, is the Ramrod. Talking about profits, 161% on the Saturday, prior to then sending me the email, 30.2% profit for the year. But they do share with us the selection rules. The system can be applied to any meeting, anywhere, any day, though the main focus should be metropolitan meetings on Saturdays, and maybe the midweek meetings if you want to go there. Operate on the better class races. We suggest from benchmark 80 through to group 1. The only runners to be considered are the top 2 in the early betting market. So, wow, you're not going to get any long priced horses here. If 2 or more horses are on the same line, then you include them all. And if the horses listed in B here are not tab numbers 1 or 2, then you need to include them also. And the reason for that is that saddlecloth numbers 1 and 2 are the most successful, but not by a great deal. I mean, 3 and 4 aren't far behind them. But anyway, that's pretty much the guts of the sort of horses you look at, and then you apply the following rules. If it's you look at the days since the last start, and if it's started less than 10 days ago, or 10 days or less, 32 points. Between 11 and 15, so sort of about 2 weeks ago, 10 points. And if it's longer than 2 weeks ago, or 16 days as they say here, you get 5 points. And this data is available from the tab form guide. Finishing position last start. If they won the race last time by 3 or more lengths, they get 33 points. If they won by less than 3 lengths, they get 23 points. If they happen to have finished 2nd or 3rd, then they get 18 points. So focusing on the most recent form of the horse. And then if the horse hasn't won, if it's been beaten by 1 length or less, you get 23. Beaten 2 lengths or less, you get 12. And beaten 3 lengths or less, you get 10 points. So therefore a horse that's run, say, 2nd or 3rd is going to get 18. And if it's lost by less than a length, it's going to get another 23, which brings it up to 41 points. And so therefore finishing 2nd or 3rd and being beaten by a short margin, they're giving that more weighting than a horse that's won easily at its last start. Moving on, looking at the weight. Not sure why they've got this here, because it says carrying the same weight as last start, 30 points, carrying more weight than last start, 30 points, but carrying less weight than last start, 44 points. I'm just going to adjust that down to saying if it's carrying the same or more weight, it gets no points. If it's carrying less weight, then it gets 14 points. Just seems logical to me to do that. So they're giving there a bonus to horses which are dropping in the weights. Looking at the distance ability, if it's 1 over today's distance, gets 10 points for each win there. No more than 30 points though. Same thing with track ability. If it's 1 on today's track, 10 points for each win there, but no more than 30. And then lastly, we look at how consistent is the horse. If it's got a win percentage of 20% or more, it gets 20 points, and a place percentage of 40% or more gets 25 points. And after the allotment of points, the horse with the highest points total is the horse that they then focus on. But not surprisingly, there's one rule they're not telling us. The final rule, sting in the tail. We've agreed with Ramrod's co-founders not to release their final rule, their sting in the tail, which they believe zeroes in on the highly dependable crunch horses. And this will be released to the Ramrod members when they join. So you're going to have to pay up to find out what this final rule actually is. The cost of all this, I'm not sure why it's $149, but it's the Ramrod. I can't even get it spelled correctly. Total $224 if you want to get access to this, and I'm not going to be doing that either. However, I have programmed up those rules into Excel, and I'm going to apply them to a race today. It's at sale. I think it's race number 6. And so the first thing we're going to do is make sure we focus in on the 2 favourites. So we've got Koi Hoi, is it, at $3.30, and these prices were at last night. Resolute Lad at $5.50 is the second favourite, and then you need to add into that TAB numbers 1 and 2. So we're going to be looking at horses Ripplebrook, Koi Hoi and Resolute Lad, and then running through the process of accessing all of that information. Now, it doesn't take all that long, about 5 minutes, to do the 3 or 4 horses that you're going to have in this particular selection approach. Now, as I said, this spreadsheet will be available from Google Sheets, the link in the description, and when you look at it, there's a whole lot of stuff going on over here. I'm not going to explain it through, but the stuff in the purple here is the calculations, and this is the engine here that drives those calculations. The net result of all of it is we're just interested in the total of the points over here. So inputting all of the data for Ripplebrook, day since last start 13, finishing position at 1 its last start. Now, this is the important thing here, that you get these plus and minus signs correct. If the horse has won the race, then the margin is positive. So you put in plus 1.8. So Ripplebrook won its last race by 1.8 lengths. Koi Hoi ran second, got beaten by 1.3 lengths. So you put in minus 1.3. And Resolute Lad at its last start ran fourth and was beaten by 3.5 lengths. So you put in negative 3.5. You then just need to compare today's weight with its last start, and is it carrying less weight or more? In this case, Koi Hoi is carrying less weight, the other 2 are carrying more. Ripplebrook actually is trained at the track. I did check that out, and so it's won at the track 4 times and has won over the distance 4 times, so quite a good performance there. So that's why it gets 30 and 30 over here for its wins and at the track ratings. Win percent not all that high, only 13%, but it does get over 40% for the place, and so it gets a 25 there. So you go through, put all of those in, and we've got that Ripplebrook will be the top selection for this particular race. Now, it's only a benchmark 64, so it's not the sort of race that they're recommending that you do this for. But if you get to look at this before the start of today's races, and you've got a tab form guide available for you off the internet, then you can perhaps open up the spreadsheet and check how quickly it takes for you to get these particular numbers. Now, I did run the wagon wheel over this as well to see what was going on, just to see whether it came up with something similar, and it did come up with he's on form as the top selection here for the race, with Ripplebrook being second. But as always, there's a real problem around managing the class ratings when you're out here in the country running on midweek meetings, because they have all sorts of things like class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 races. And according to the TAB, he's on form is down in class. Now I'm having a look at it and I'm thinking there is no way that this actually is correct. It's just my opinion, I guess, of how they work out these class ratings. But he's on form's last start was in a class 2 race, which means it was running against horses that have won no more than 2 races. And here's Ripplebrook, that's won 7 races, I think, and was last start running in a benchmark 64. If I actually change this to an S for same class, then suddenly Ripplebrook becomes the top rating in the race. So, you know, these other ones here, Koi Hoi, Resolute Lad and New Zealand Deal, I think they're all coming up in class from a class 1 up to a benchmark 64. I don't have any issue with that. Class 1 races, the horse have only won 1 race. So happy with that. But yeah, this one here, just a bit of a concern about working out the class ratings. Anyway, Ripplebrook was the second pick if you put it back to the way it was, put that on capitals, coming out of the TAB guide. And so happy punting to you all. I hope you find the spreadsheet useful, and catch up with you on Friday for Wagon Wheel Friday when we have a look at Saturday's races.